Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask you about is how have you seen it change over the last, decade or so? What are there rising platforms? Are there falling platforms? What do you think has happened recently?
Yeah, I mean, the change that I've seen is that it's almost, I think once upon a time, everybody said, oh, social media. And it was,
Mm.
it was just like a whole bunch of platforms. And I think what's starting to happen is that, they're not necessarily so segmented that, Facebook does something very different to Instagram, to Twitter do. But I think each one of the platforms is kind of finding its own slight specialism.
Yeah.
So for example, LinkedIn, we know that that's more of a business profile,
Yeah.
and people go there to network and connect, and it's got more of a business vibe. However, there's a lot of the same functionality on LinkedIn as there is on Facebook now,
Yeah.
so you can live stream, you can put videos up, you can promote yourself in various ways. So I think that very subtly, each channel is finding its own niche, its own thing. They're all pretty similar, but you go to Twitter to listen and connect, and it's a little bit more intellectual.
Mhm.
Facebook is definitely, whilst it's the biggest, advertising engine in the world, it's also the more kind of chitty chatty, groupy,
Yeah.
friendly family type bigger picture
Mhm.
platform. Instagram's interesting because that's it's more about, we talk about visual content, but it's more about the stories now, and the people kind of just behind the scenes, constant little visual updates, which was kind of how Snapchat was once upon a time, and now Instagram seems to have
Yeah.
stolen that, taken over there. And then of course we've got TikTok,
Yeah.
which is just all video and entertainment, and YouTube, video, entertainment, insight, news, how to, searching as to, what you can do. So I think that they're kind of finding their own feet, and the technology now has evolved. I think once upon a time, they've become more human, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. They're more visual. We talk with it's more video to video communication.
Yeah.
There's live streaming. It's becoming more human, and I think the more human and it becomes, the more engaging they all become. So when people talk about, oh, they're going to fade away, are we going to see some new ones come up, I don't think they're going to fade away. I think
Okay.
as they become more human, we're going to just use them for different things,
That makes
you
sense.
know.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned TikTok too, because we wrote about that in the book, and I was curious because it seemed to come out of nowhere, but there was one year where TikTok was just everywhere, right? And I thought there had to be some sort of reason, like it had to have come from somewhere. But in one year, the company that owns TikTok, ByteDance, spent $1 billion on marketing it. So they put it on every marketing channel. Every YouTuber was talking about it and doing TikTok videos and talking about them and doing commentary on them. So it's interesting to see what that takes to kind of break into that social media market now is just, an absolutely insane amount of resources.
Exactly, and it's quite interesting because I keep getting, you see these alerts coming through on LinkedIn, and one keeps coming through to me saying, Michelle, would you be interested in head of social media and content at
Yeah.
TikTok? It's kind of like, so what's interesting is their team, as you say, they've come from nowhere, and they've got this talent going on, and they're bringing in, but I think with this pandemic, all eyes are on TikTok, aren't they?
Mhm.
All the challenges, all the entertainment. I mean, I was reading a piece of research from the Global Web Index saying that our activity on social media over this, they're tracking what's going on with coronavirus, has increased by 45%. So that's quite a big number.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see why that is, because, we've got more people at home, more eyeballs, and we're spending more time on social media. It'll be interesting to see what percentage of that is on TikTok, because,
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
yeah.
That's probably boomed. Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you about too, is everyone being at home, everyone having a bit more time in a lot of cases, and being on social media, because personally I've noticed everything is getting more engagements, more traffic, more views. So I don't know, do you think people should be taking a break from social media now, or is now the time to be going in for marketing on social media?
Yeah, well, I think from an agency perspective, our advice to our clients, and it isn't just being opportunistic. It's a case of we've actually been tracking and our ads and the eyeballs and the visibility and a lot of the activity that we do in, particularly in generating leads and engagement for clients. We've seen that significantly rise. So what that's telling us is that whilst people aren't able to go out and shop or they're still planning, they're still looking, they're still being very optimistic and still buying, online. So of course you don't want to drop out at a critical time where you've got more eyeballs happening online. At the same time, from a more people working at home perspective, there are more people working at home. There are more people therefore looking at their phones and doing things. So from a kind of marketing perspective, keep it going. You want to be there. You want to fish where the fish are. But from a personal productivity perspective, you could get into the mindless scroll.
Yeah.
And you could just stop and so. What I do personally is, and I advise our team to do, is just switch off the phone for at least 2 hours, and that's how I tend to do it. I work in sprints, it sounds a bit formulaic and a bit robotic, but otherwise I just wouldn't be as productive because I could easily get very, very caught up with the digital distractions. So I tend to just turn the phone off or mute it, turn it away, and then work in my sprint and then give myself a little bit of a treat, get the hit of dopamine that we get when we see something that's nice or somebody said something or whatever. And then again, 5-10 minutes, get up, move, go get a drink of water, cup of tea, whatever, and then back to the sprint. So I think you have to be disciplined. You have to be motivated to get on with the work and, and maybe give yourself those treats. But it would be very easy at this time just to get, particularly because there's so much great content going out, so you could spend a lot of time. So you have to be more disciplined.
Yeah, I'm the same for that too. I love the do not disturb feature on my phone, or turning it on silent, or turning, I've got set lists where, none of these apps will make noise for this amount of time, or just turning my phone off because it's so easy to get distracted. And the mindless scroll of seeing the same stuff over and over, and then you switch between platforms and it's the same content from the same people. Best to avoid that, or, keep it to a limited amount of time. I find too, sometimes even not having it at my desk is good. So if I'm, looking at it on my phone, to look at it somewhere else, or if I'm out back in the garden, to look at it there. So I'm keeping those kind of physical and virtual spaces separate to keep the headspace kind of separate.
I think that works. I mean, obviously, my team who are looking and managing social media activity for clients, they're on it all the time. But it's not for them. They're doing things for clients. So it's very different. That's their work. For me, I don't have any of the desktop applications. So when I'm working, I don't see any social media stuff. It's just all on my phone. So so actually, that's exactly right. I don't see. The only problem now is WhatsApp. Because that when you say what have we seen, we've seen way more WhatsApp activity as well. More messaging, more groups, more. I mean, people have just set up so many groups, haven't they? About pub quiz groups and this group and that group and this group and let's chat group and coffee morning groups. We are doing a bit more of that actually as an agency. So even though we're remote, so all of my team, once upon a time we were all in the same place. Now we're not. We're all dispersed, and we used to kind of get together once a week. Now they're getting together every day. We're just trying to really keep that momentum and sanity going. So I've seen more groups. I've been invited to a lot more things online. I think generally we've just started to engage more, and Zoom of course has gone through.
I know. Yeah.